Good morning. Today is Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. This is the Urban Hope Refuge Morning Devotions. We're continuing our reading today from the 2022 Daily Bible Reading Guide published by the American Bible Society. For the month of August, we are reading under the theme, God's Renewing Word of Mercy and Forgiveness. Today, we are reading Genesis chapter 41, verses 1 through 36, continuing with the story of the life of Joseph. Verse 1 in the New International Version. Subtheme: Pharaoh's dreams. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, ugly, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the river bank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of corn swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning, his mind was troubled, so he sent for all of the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings." Pharaoh was once angry with his servants, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. Each of us had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Now, a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each man the interpretation of his dream. And things turned out exactly as he had interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was impelled. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. And then 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all of the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After then, 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thinned and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to my magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. But 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now, let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to be kept in the cities for food. This food shall be held in reserve for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. This concludes our reading for today of Genesis chapter 41, verses 1 through 36. This is a continuation story. Joseph was sold into slavery by his only brothers. That was in chapter 37. He then excelled in his work for an Egyptian official, only to be falsely accused and imprisoned. That was in chapter 39. There, he accurately interpreted dreams for servants of the Egyptian ruler, which we read on yesterday in Genesis chapter 20. Unfortunately, one of the dreams that he had interpreted for the cupbearer, he asked him not to forget him so that he could get out of prison. Unfortunately, the restored cupbearer, whose dream Joseph interpreted in our reading yesterday, failed to mention Joseph. He failed to remember Joseph, leaving him in prison for 2 more years. That was in Genesis chapter 40. So a series of disturbing dreams now leads Joseph to have an audience with the Pharaoh. This in turn leads Joseph to becoming the second most powerful man in the nation of Egypt. After years in prison, Joseph is finally restored as his circumstances are dramatically reversed. This is the mercy of God extended to Joseph. Prior to this, he has spent quite some time unjustly jailed. He has been forgotten. Listen at this. This must be familiar to some of us. He has been forgotten even by those he has helped. Have you ever had that experience? I have. I have. So in Genesis chapter 40, verses 14 through 15 and verse 23, it tells how the cupbearer was helped by Joseph. And Joseph only asked him for one thing: remember me to Pharaoh, because I have been unjustly jailed. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, experienced those 2 troubling and prophetic dreams that I read to you a few moments ago. In the first, as you heard, God shows Pharaoh in the dream that he is going to have 7 years of abundance of everything in Egypt. And in the second dream, which is similar, Pharaoh sees that the land will be barren. There will be a famine for 7 years. So listen how great God is. he uses Joseph to interpret the dream. And Joseph is talking about himself, that God said, appoint a person that can manage all of this for you, Pharaoh, and he will take care of everything for you. But listen, Pharaoh is going to be under your authority. Joseph was talking about himself, that he should be appointed. And God navigates everything in our lives, and he does it through his unfailing love and mercy for his people. Aren't you glad that you're one of his people, to be a benefit of the mercy of God? Now, let me challenge you to pray your way through the day. Walk with the King and be a blessing.